Righto, money miners. Last episode for diggers, but not the last episode we're going to mention bloody Axis mining technology. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, wouldn't mention them so much, GC, if they weren't so trustworthy. And I didn't ring them up and there wasn't a guru on the end of the phone. You want to know where your drill holes are going? Get them to show you how to do it. We've got a bit going on today. The name and shame. The quarterly name and shame. It's here. We've got a bit of bloody Albemarle. We've got a bit of bloody three-way deal in the sandstone. What else have we got going on? We've got the bloody Olympics.
Olympics. Hey, my menage a trois finally come true, but none of the companies I actually
don't.
It doesn't matter.
Sandstone, not Murchison.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that, GC.
We'll cut that bit out.
It came true. Yeah, it came true.
Bloody, what else we got?
Mate, the quarterly Olympics,
Yeah,
where
how good is
companies
that?
are competing for, gold medal at various events. I'm excited.
Trevor, these gold medals people really want to be winning, though.
Yes.
Righto, this is a medal you don't want to win. Or maybe they do, because we're figuring out maybe the companies are doing this just so they get a mention. I don't know.
Probably.
Name and shame. The post-market quarterlies on the last day of the month, July 31st.
Ali, you put up the numbers. How many do we have in the end?
Over 90 resources companies put out their quarterly aftermarket yesterday. Now, just to put that in perspective, I recall there's about 700 to 800 resources companies listed on ASX. Most of them put out 5Bs, not all of them. So that's probably 15 to 20% of resources companies put it out that last minute. It's actually amazing.
It's really the cream of the crop of
Absolutely.
lifestyle businesses that we're working with here. So I'll kick starter and we can take turns. MC Mining, these ones were one of the very last, 7:26 p.m. This company actually mines, although they lost 1.2 million on operations. Another 800 grand went out the door on investments. So that leaves them with 245K in the bank, $10.3 million in debt. So there's supposedly a $58 million market cap, although the thing barely trades. They should just do a bit better on the reporting and then maybe their standards will lift throughout the organisation.
Mate, I had no idea they existed, so it's a good way to get on my radar. So
Yeah.
4 minutes to spare. Heavy Minerals, 7:10 p.m. Ended the quarter with $47,000 in the bank. Ouch. Spent 253K on exploration and 220 on staff. Admin and corporate. No surprises. They're in a trading halt this morning, pending further royalty funding and a capital raise. That's right. They did that nifty, funny royalty to raise capital. Yeah. Anyway, interesting.
It's going to happen
I'm
again.
clearly worried about the cash balance.
GC, you go to the next one.
Alrighty, Accent Resources, 7:09 p.m. The cover page on the quarterly. How innovative and creative. Good on them. This company's got a 3 mil market cap, cash of 9.3, outflows of 1.4 mil this quarter, with a 25.5 mil in debt drawdown. And this has all come from the two largest shareholders. What an amazing business.
We've got Bastion Minerals, 7:05 p.m. They've got 330 grand left in the bank. Now, they spent 330 on staff, admin and corporate costs alone in the last quarter. Not to mention they chucked out another 260 grand in exploration. This is one of the few companies out there that actually said they're going to try and cut costs, though. So,
good on them.
Yeah, they've got less than a quarter left, so good luck to them.
QX Resources, 7:04 p.m. Spent double as much on staff and admin. Then they did exploration, just 500K in the kitty. Though, to shareholders' delight, they got and had the market facility because we know they're always good for the share price. Keep up the good work, QX.
New World Resources, also 7:04 p.m.
Oh, this sounds repeat offender.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, though, right? Because we've had fundies pitch this company on our very show.
So you're supposedly a company trying to do serious work. With cash not a problem here, just very slack reporting. Pick up your game. Come on, NWC.
North Stawell out in Victoria also came in at 7:04 p.m. on the final day of the month. 330 grand went out the door on staff, admin and corporate costs, just 180 on exploration. That means 35% of the money they spent went toward exploration. Ended the quarter with less than 1 quarter's worth at the current run rate of spending. That might explain why the CEO resigned last week.
African Gold, 6:49 p.m. Ended with 890K in the bank, 405K in director loans drawn to some local mining entrepreneurs. These loans will be converted into shares, all all agreed to by shareholders, of course.
Forestania, 6:44 p.m, 460k in the kitty, 100 out the door this quarter in related party transactions, 175k on exploration, 235k on staff, corporate and admin. Geez, these conferences don't pay for themselves, boys.
Just a couple left. Savannah Goldfields, they came in at 643. They spent over $1 million for the quarter. They've now borrowed over $8 million. They've got a loan facility. They've got a couple, actually. These are a bit crafty. One of them, of course, has an association with the chairman. That's always interesting to see. They've got another loan facility that's charging them a cool 20% per annum now. They've just got about 150 grand in the bank. So all the best with that.
Mate, Admiralty Resources, 5:56 p.m. Great reading. 220k spent on staff and corporate costs. Not a single dollar spent on exploration. There was 800k reported under other in financing activities. No further detail on that. So yeah, anyone's guess. 80k was paid out to related parties end of the quarter with 21k, and the company has $9.6 million in drawn debt. Ooh.
I've actually got one bonus one. BCN put out their quarterly this morning and actually got a slap on the wrist from ASX. They put them into basically you get put into suspension until you release your report.
Yeah, it's not the first time ASX has pulled those guys up. You should take a look at the disclosures surrounding their acquisition of Lady Ida from Orabanda. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting reading, that one.
Well, I've found a heap of my own, and it goes beyond that list, GC.
Right.
Buddy, all the mining companies that aren't using SMEC variable speed ventilation systems. It's a bloody atrocity. SMEC are back to get this frickin' message across because it is the biggest no-brainer to me, the exponential power savings that you can get. Less diesel, less gas, less renewables, less reliance on power. Like, far out.
Power's not cheap, Matty. This one pays for itself.
And it's not easy to get and it's not easy to sustain sometimes.
Just ask a couple of companies out there.
Oh, mate, bloody Marty Law's phone number, it's in the show notes.
Is he coming to Diggers?
He's going to be at Diggers.
Oh, awesome.
So, mate, just grab him for a bloody beer. He'll tell you all about the VSDs, which, bloody, they've proved wonders across the West Gold operations. We know that. So
just
there's
look
no
what
reason,
price.
and they bolt onto any fan. So give him a buzz. Good on you, Marty. Good to have the big fella back.
He's a fella that would never be named and shamed.
No, never. He will report on the first.
Love it.
Every time.
Matty, I came in this morning. I was excited because I knew Cameco had reported last night, and I knew you'd be all over it.
Oh, the whole world's been waiting for it, I'm pretty sure. Don't worry about the Olympics. Bit of an uptick in uranium last night, and it's probably from one key little thing, and I'll get to it. I can't understand their bloody when they say their balance sheet and their net earnings. I added up the net earnings, and they didn't add up to the same number for the whole thing. So I can't understand it. So it looks like, this is what I understand, net cash position from December 31 with the debt, inventory and the cash and cash equivalents has gone down from minus 525 to minus 203. That's all I can surmise. But so production-wise, Cigar Lake, MacArthur River, their flagships, and then we'll get to the Inkai JV. But things look to be on track there. So 2.9 million pounds out of Cigar Lake, 4.2 out of MacArthur River. So that's their share because they got the JV with Arano on that. So both on track so they're above the run rate they need to both get 18 million pounds from both of those operations. There is, though, an annual maintenance shutdown coming up at both operations in Q3. So whether they're a bit ahead to take into account for that. But production-wise, things look to be ticking along over there.
And you pointed out in the director special this morning the talk in quotation marks.
The talk to the uranium price. Holy snap and duck shit. I think they've gone up a little bit based on contracts they've put in place, but you just look at for this year, if the spot price goes from $80 to $100, they go from 57 to 58 on the realised price in US dollars. So anyway, that's the legacy contracts that probably don't need to be mentioned much more. So I guess what moved the uranium market a bit last night? Spot was up a few bucks, which is, someone must have started trading it. Spot was up nearly 5%. Ding, 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 I do hold some Spot. So if you look at Inkai, that's the JV they've got with Kazatomprom. And it says production on a 100% basis was 1.9 million pounds for the quarter and 3.5 million pounds for the 6 months. And you looked at last year, it was 2.4 million pounds, so £500,000 pounds less for last year's £500,000 pounds more last year's quarter, and 4.3 for the same period last year. So production has decreased since last year. And what do you know? It's put it down to procurement and supply chain issues, most notably the stability of sulfuric acid deliveries. So they're
Is Inco one of the ones that'll be affected by the tax rate? Would they?
Yeah, they're not at the top end. I think that's around.
They might curtail.
Yeah, so they'll have I think it was 12.5% maybe. So you just see how they've written it in here. So they were targeting £8.3 million for 2024 for just that sublease, and they've only got 3.5. So I think just that's one operation, but I think the market is interpreting when Kazatomprom comes out with their results tonight that would may be a widespread lower production across all of Kazatomprom, but we don't know. So now that, and because they talked about the further complications by the taxation changes and that are beginning next year. So it's like, well, we're not working with you as much anymore. We'll just keep driving the knife into Kazatomprom. So yes, it's so it'll be interesting to see what Kazatomprom comes out with tonight. So if there's a million, might be £1 million less there and $1 million there. See what actually effect that has on the market. So
how long does it take to build a bloody acid plant?
What are they scheduling? 2027, I think.
Why does it take so long?
I don't know. Italians are building it.
Yeah.
We might have to have a pizza shop next to it.
Wouldn't you just pay them like heaps more to build it faster or something?
I don't know if it's difficult to. I do not know. I do not know what goes into building an acid plant, but yeah,
much easier when it's a byproduct from somewhere,
Yeah, exactly.
Scoop it up.
We still don't know if they're getting enough sulfuric acid for historical production, but they need more now to get the same production because of the restart after COVID, or if they're literally getting less than what they used to.
Yeah,
not sure.
Is that run
Who would
rate?
have thought Eastern Bloc and Russia would be hard to a bit opaque.
Yeah, I heard some
that area.
I read some commentary that Cameco trade on a multiple like a tech stock.
Yeah.
We were chatting about that this morning.
Yeah,
weren't we?
well, it said net earnings of 39 million for the quarter, but fucking
$20 billion US dollar market.
Wow.
So the market's really
Is that Canadian?
basically pricing in the whole repricing of these term contracts.
And there's obviously the Westinghouse side of things as well. They're obviously going to get a lot of value out of building a shitload of bloody AP1000s for people, you would assume.
Yeah.
Don't know. Well, that's it's technically you're a construction company. So, we'll see what happens tonight.
$30 billion Aussie market cap.
Still bloody hanging on.
Before the next segment, I've got a quick announcement. It ties into your segment that you got coming up here, Maddie. But by the time this episode goes live, we would have hit publish on a deep dive research piece. Basically, gold price is at an all-time high. Some people are anticipating or predicting that the developers will eventually re-rate to something, to be more in line with how the producers are sort of going there. And they've underperformed big time today, just like Ask Ellie, and she did
massively,
a good piece on this. So we went through literally every gold developer on the ASX, or Ellie went through every single gold developer on the ASX. We compared the numbers and provided, our commentary and analysis about them, and maybe, pointed to where the warts are, because there's some interesting, when you do that analysis, you realise it's bloody slim pickings, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And often there's a lot more than just what you see on the, the glossy announcements and things like that. So it pays attention to go into the detail and I think treading the big takeaway I got from sort of doing the work and speaking with you guys and some of the genuine friends of the show on their feedback.
Genuine,
the genuine.
What does that even mean? I don't even know if that's genuine or genuine.
No, genuine. Just getting their thoughts is a rising tide, or in this case, rising gold price does float all boats. So, tread with caution. And there's some pickings out there.
Yeah.
Or at least there might be some early stage sort of more grassroots green shoots there. But it was just fascinating. Go read it. Check it out.
I'll say I contributed nothing. JD, did you?
No, this was Ali and
This
Trav,
was
I
Ali
believe,
and Trav. And
you did contribute.
Okay. You guys
I
reviewed it.
contributed like my usual contribution, which is pretty much fuck all. But they have done a sensational job on this, and it is probably the most elite bit of content you will get in a freaking email ever. So well done, guys. It was bloody brilliant.
Cheers, mate.
Absolutely. Goodbye, sell-side research. Look out, Tim McCormack.
Moneymind.com, check it out.
Coming for you. Righto. Speaking of gold deals, fuck. Sorry. I tried to get you.
I just saw that. That's a good one.
Well, anyway, we will not say what that was about. Right. Speaking of a three-way deal, we alluded to it yesterday. Brightstar, Alto, and Gateway, GML. So, buddy, we knew something. I guess we knew something was extra in the Brightstar Alto deal with the cap raise and everything. We did mention Gateway yesterday. So, what's happening here? Gateway Mining, who have got their tenements just north of Alto's ones in the sandstone. So they're selling the tenements, but retaining the base metal rights for their Montague project. So $5 million cash going to them, $7 worth of Brightstar shares, another $2 worth of deferred shares based on commercial production or a 1 million ounce resource. So this three-way deal that Brightstar's doing is going to give them, what have they got? 3 million ounces of mineral resources upon completion. So the Alto deal is all scrip. So Alto, it's a 4-for-1. So effectively, Alto implied price is 6 cents a share, and they were trading at a bit as low as 3 cents. So they were historically 6, but just sort of been dragging along for a while. So, and the Alto MD, Matt Bowles, is going onto the Brightstar board as a non-exec director. So Brightstar, they're raising $24 in 2 tranches at 1.5 cents. So slight discount to the 10-day VWAP. So, there's a couple of people going on the, I don't know if Line Selection Group are tipping into this one. I assume they will be as one of the shareholders, and I'm not sure if Collins Street are as well. It wasn't disclosed in the announcement, I don't think, whether they are or what they're tipping in. Maybe I read it quickly. They just come out, bloody dragging the chain, you bastards. So I think St. Barb's is tipping in another $2 because they're a shareholder from the Linden deal. Top Drill doing $1 worth of drill for equity, and Genesis are also converting $2.7 million worth of processing fees into equity. So I think they'll be about a 2% shareholder pro forma. Yep. Which is interesting. So
a big number for the amount of meters that they want to drill as well. 50,000 was floated around.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see if they start punching a bit deeper below the resource. So,
isn't a lot of it sort of up till about 100 meters and stuff? So.
Yeah. I don't think she's been tested at depth. I'm not sure. So I think there's a lot of bloody. But yeah, friggin'. It's and they also got there's a non-binding indicative offer from a South Korean precious metals trader, Ozcore. So they're putting $4 into the placement and a $36 gold offtake financing. So where it's a bit different to debt and hedging, and like they'll pay 95.5% of the spot gold price, and then 45 months for maturity from drawdown. There's 12.5% per annum interest, capitalised quarterly, but the 4.5% sales discount is applied as a debt repayment on the gold they sell, and then you have a bullet payment at the end. So, gotcha. And that I think that's going to be maybe used to refurb the Mount Morgan's mill, but can't. Yeah, I don't know. Be interesting to see what if Genesis are restarting that mill, which is 2.9 million tonne per annum. They're going to need bloody dirt. So it'd be interesting to see if that actually gets refurbed or now Genesis on the register. If it's going to go through there, which I'd
Yeah.
I think they'll need some dirt to fill her up anyway. So
The sandstone consolidation is an interesting proposition, right? I mean, plenty have tried at this. Now you've got it kind of sort of coming together in a different vehicle than to what most expected. I think the sandstone kind of story is the most appealing one of what Brightstar's got so far.
oh shit, yeah.
They're kind of, it's like the company's a bit funny now, sort of a little bit like Black Cat, where you've got 3 different development projects all at the same time. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of migrate their focus towards this sandstone stuff now.
Yeah.
And the rest kind of becomes, secondary.
Yeah, and I think they've probably got a lot of options up that way because you still got Horizon Gold's Gum Creek stuff, and I think there's about 800,000 ounces up there that's free milling. I think the other stuff's refractory. So whether that stuff comes, so I would think that there'd be, based on the mills we went through yesterday, you'd think it'd be have to be nearly a standalone 2.5 million tonne operation. Build a processing plant there because otherwise she's a bit of trucking. Not sure, but then you got I think Rocks Resources has got a bit of free mill and stuff that could come up. It's not all refractory, so whether that becomes a bit of a hub, whether they move some mills, Trav, as you said.
Yeah, who knows, mate? Bloody Brightstar's got a spare mill. They can just relocate that one to fucking sandstone.
Yeah, don't know.
But no, it's interesting. It's sort
Made
of
it big enough.
Yeah.
the region hasn't really, until now, not much has really been happening there, or at a pace that's probably not as quick as a lot of, shareholders and investors would have liked. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes under, a new leadership team. And I think, again, doing that consolidation sort of unlocks a lot of those assets. And I'm sort of unsure as what happens with Horizon now, because they probably needed some more scale to warrant their own standalone plant. So that sort of makes that a little bit trickier for them, unless they sort of, join the Brightstar camp as well.
Yeah, because they'll be on the register from their Alto holding.
They've got about 8% of Alto.
Yeah, so that'll be what's that, 3% or something. So they'll have a bit of a stake.
I wouldn't completely rule out some competitive tension from an established miner as well.
Oh, interloper.
It could totally. I haven't read the transaction docs. I don't know what the deal protection is or anything like that. But I wouldn't rule out the possibility that others are kind of interested in Alto now that it's actually in play.
Yeah, 3-way deal. Hello, bloody God, imagine there'd be a few ducks to get in a row to get a 3-way deal over the line in one go. That wouldn't be fun. You wouldn't want to write that doc up, GC.
No.
Bloody all those footnotes and font sizes. Right. Next cab off the rank, Albemarle. Big news out of there. JD, you were straight onto this morning.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty big news. 300 people, unfortunately, have lost their job down at Kemerton. 460 are still going to be retained. But this is a sort of big tell from Albemarle as to how those operations are going and how they sort of see the lithium market and specifically that downstream aspect performing over the near term. So what they've kind of said is that Train 1 is going to be optimized, i.e. they just need to sort it out and try and see any sort of return on the massive amount of capital that they sunk into it. Train 2 is being put on care and maintenance. Trains 3 and 4 are just having construction stopped. So they recognised a US $215 million write-down in the quarter just gone and acknowledged that there will be a $900 million US to $1.1 billion charge in the quarter that we're now in. So that kind of gives you an inkling of the amount of money that they spent on these trains already and what the future kind of holds for them. I think Chris Ellison was the one that said that the cost for trains 1 and 2 was well north of US $1.5 billion. There's just a heap of thoughts that straight away popped up into my mind when I saw this announcement, and I'm sure you guys had some thoughts too, so we can kind of run through them. But the first thought was how well MinRes did to dodge this, because you guys remember it was just 1 year ago in July of 2023 that they rejigged the deal they had with Albemarle. They got out of their interest in Kemerton. They got out of their interest in the downstream facilities in China. they increased their interest in Wodgina, and there was also a $400 million payment in there. But I mean, you can just think about what that balance sheet would, the sort of stress that was kind of taken off in doing that. The quarterly calls would have been even more interesting if they hadn't made that decision. But in hindsight, a very good call by MinRes, and on the flip side of that, not a great call by Albemarle to change the structure of that.
Yeah, I think, isn't it very sad in terms of for all the, because that'd be, residential people that live down there. Like all the job losses have been related to this battery metals revolution. The nickel and a lot of it's come out of nickel and lithium in Australia. Just talking Australia, like between Nickel West, First Quantum, like all lithium stuff. Like it's just don't really. Yeah, there's obviously been some gold as well, but it's just the joys of the mining industry in terms of when it's flying, everyone's bloody jobs for everyone, and then when it can just rapidly change like that. So thoughts are with everyone there.
Absolutely. To try and put a silver lining on it, we didn't have many of these lithium mines a number of years ago, and the fact that Pilgangoora is still in operation, Kathleen Valley is employing a lot of people, Mount Holland is employing a bunch of people, Greenbushes is at a sort of a bigger scale and stuff. That over the longer term, there has been job creation from an industry that didn't exist. Oh, it had Greenbushes 10 years ago, but that aside, there wasn't much. So just trying to put a sort of positive swing on it. But
most definitely,
yeah, thoughts with the people there. The second thought that came to my mind was related to Greenbushes, to TLEA, and the individual holders within that the joint venture Winfield between the three of the companies down there. And is there more than meets the eye? What's kind of going on? There was read-throughs from the reporting that was provided by Albemarle, so we could see into the Winfield JV, and what we could see wasn't really great reading from the perspective of IGO and others there. So the cash within the JV went from US 500 million-ish to 37. So you can see cash was pulled out by the owners of that joint venture. And it gives you the view that was sort of best summarised to me, that Albemarle and Tianqi view Greenbushes as providing feedstock. And for IGO, it's a mining operation. And it's a different lens, and it's just another sort of reason to underline the point that this sort of structure is not a great structure. It's a pretty flawed structure that's not benefiting everyone equally. But, we've kind of discussed that at lengths. And yeah, I mean, you can see in that JV that there's net debt in there of 63 cents attributable to IGO alone on sort of their share price. So
who do you think's got the best out of the three of them in that Winfield?
Tianqi, given the 51% that they kind of speak for, right?
Yeah.
Imagine only owning like 24% or whatever, and having control. It's pretty awesome.
But is Albemarle's the way they're structured compared, because IGO are in with Tianqi on their side, whereas is Albemarle's a lot simpler in terms of do Tianqi control what Albemarle dividend gets paid or not?
I think the way I think about it is Tianqi, TLEA has control over the broader one, and then within TLEA is a joint venture. Tianqi have control over that one. So they've got two of these JVs where ultimately Tianqi gets to say but owns very little.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're
in 25 and a bit percent.
Yeah.
25.01 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thoughts around this whole news coming out today is Albemarle. What's going on with their balance sheet? Trav, you spoke about this a few months back. We looked in and they ended up doing a capital raise, which a lot of people didn't really see coming. It was somewhat of a surprise at that, to shore up the balance sheet. But, in hindsight, it always looks a whole lot more obvious. And this is just another sort of show that they're hurting a fair bit. And at these prices, they're not making an awful lot of money. They're still a $10-ish billion US company. So there could be a bit of pain to come over the medium term before things recover and they start generating cash again. But still, as we've sort of noticed with lithium, a lot of people looking in the rearview mirror as opposed to looking at the front windshield.
I think the view out the front windshield is different for which car you're driving, I think. Sound
Good
pretty
analogy.
That was good, eh?
I think you're onto something. Just a couple other thoughts. One you kind of touched on, Matty, with people living in and around there is the contractors. Monadelphous, they took a hit. They were down almost 10% this morning. They've recovered a bit, and it took them a while to actually release an announcement. They did come out with one about an hour after the market opened, but they had a sort of circa $200 million contract to do trains 3 and 4, which has been stopped. Things were sort of added and variations were made, but they've kind of come out and said that Kemerton was meant to deliver $80 million in revenue for this financial year alone. And I mean, we know these guys run at very skinny margins. 6%, if you look at the past couple of quarters, is the EBITDA margin. So they'll kind of have to get a bit creative and work hard not to take a hit on it.
Wonder who's got the contract for the West Farmers SQM apparent downstream plant. I don't know if anything's geez, I don't even know if anything's even happening there.
Yeah. You don't have to report too much within the bigger organisations, right?
Yeah, that's the guy. What else? That was it. That's it for that one, JD.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody! Oh, I'm just thinking diggers.
Albemarle call at 8 p.m. Aussie time, WA time tonight. So we'll see what sort of falls out of that.
Oh yeah, we'll play it live at dinner, eh? Because we're dedicated to the money miners. Now, but we're about to get into the quarterly Olympics. But if anyone's been watching the Olympics, the Aussies are killing it in the water.
Oh, they are.
Absolutely
So good.
bloody beating the Yanks. It's friggin' great. And that also reminds me of Greenland's equipment, who also kill it with everything water. We've got a new water partner.
Welcome, Greenland.
I love water. Welcome. Oh, mate. Oh, I'm starting to really froth on water. I'm feeling a bit dry just talking about it. It's just, once again, turnkey solution. Turnkey water solution. This
What do they do?
bloody mate, look, mate, bore fields, open pit mine dewater and underground mine dewater and tailings management facilities, water bore services, mine water transfer, dust suppression, aquifer reinjection, pond lining systems, bloody pipelines. Mate, just give Caleb a hoo-ha in the show notes and get Greenlands to, mate, they can get your water, they can get rid of your water. Whatever you want.
If you think of Greenland, it
They
is
can
just,
keep you, like,
just
they-
a giant country of frozen water.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is, mate, they can go get water from Greenland for you.
It's the most important commodity.
They've got the actual rights to Greenland's water, which is why they got to were allowed to use their country's name in their company. So that is a fact.
Amazing.
Anyway, bloody cheers, Greenland. Love you. Bloody thanks for coming on. Quarterly Olympics. This is bloody, who come up with this? It was either of
this
you
is-
two.
Mate here.
Yeah.
Mate, on fire. Love it.
It makes thematic,
Love a good
right?
segment.
Are you getting into the Olympic spirit? You're watching any Olympic events? I've seen some highlights, but I haven't watched any. Anyway, it's the end of the quarterly season, so I thought we'd better give out some awards. And you've got a few events to run through, team. First, the 100-meter sprint. This is the award for the 100-meter sprint goes to the company that put out their quarterly to market the fastest. And this one, drum roll, goes to Polymetals, the Cobar underdog, restarting the Endeavour Silver Lead Zinc mine. Can you believe they put their quarterly out on the 2nd of July?
This was
Wow.
It was so quick. I was suspicious.
It was super impressive. They did actually have to put an addendum out on the 18th, but it was like a
They were too
thing.
keen.
It was
Mate,
very,
it's
it was
like-
very
Is it
impressive.
Too good to be true.
I'm like that. If I got something on my list, I just want to get it out of the road so I can focus on the next thing.
I felt like that. Honestly, it felt like that. It was pretty impressive. Anyway, next event, the discus. So the winner of the discus event goes to the company that managed to fill their quarterly with the most spin possible. I considered Boss Energy, but I can't go past drumroll Bellevue here because the $150 million equity raise. And I'm not taking aim at anything specifically in the quarterly. It's just a misalignment of messaging to the market versus eventual strategy, which came to bear with that chunky raise towards the end of the month. I don't need to say any more there.
What's the next event?
The air rifle. The winner of the air rifle.
Is the air rifle? It's like
It's in the Olympics.
that's like clay target, or do they call that
Yeah.
air rifle? Yeah.
I think so.
Gotcha. Clay target.
Goes to the analyst that took the biggest shot at management team from a long distance on a quarterly call. There's
From long distance.
there's no competition here this quarter. This one goes to drumroll Ben Lyons of Jarden on the Minres call. I'll just play it for you guys now.
Hi Ben, thanks for the question. Yes, to clarify, the $900 million cash, we have a $600 million cash of the prepayment in that. And as per the opening remarks, it'll be in the current liabilities as a prepayment, but it won't be in the borrowings or net debt, and that's how it's accounted for.
Okay, fascinating accounting treatment, but moving on.
That's so good.
Yeah, I love it how he ripped it out when Chris wasn't on the call.
Yeah.
So if you would have said it if he was on there, Benny.
Kind of like us around Chris.
Last event of the canoe slalom. Last event of the Olympics, the quarterly Olympics, is the canoe slalom. The winner of the canoe slalom goes to the best waterfall chart of the quarterly season.
Oh.
I've got a bronze, silver, gold here, but bronze medal goes to Genesis Minerals. Look at the improvement quarter on quarter here, fellas. In March, this is what it looked like, and then in June, look at that. They've managed to separate all of the growth capital into individual segregated items. I'm very impressed. Big improvement there. Bronze medal. Silver medal goes to Sandfire. This is actually my favourite waterfall chart of the lot, but it's only going to get silver because they're consistent quarter on quarter. It's not like they really improved because it was already perfect. It's beautiful. I love it. This is, if you ever just want to see the gold standard of a waterfall chart, it's this one. It's just wicked.
Oh, I love how they backed out the exploration, sustaining, and growth capex, and they got a little subset. Bloody yep,
so cool. And even like it's a neat way to show both your debt and your cash at the same time. At the start, there, it's really cool. Gold medal goes. This is most improved, gents. So I'm going to give them gold because they were coming from a real low base. And they went from breaking every rule to adhering to every rule. Well done, Metals Acquisition Corp. Mac. This is what it looked like in March, and this is what we got here in June.
Wow, big improvement.
I also love how
it's funny how the quarter was much better. So then they can
and I don't know if you guys saw this on LinkedIn, but I love how Seppo would write up a LinkedIn post for every good waterfall chart we put in the Director Special, pushing it out to his 10,000 LinkedIn connections, proving that good waterfall charts really do get international attention. Look at those. Very well done, Seppo. Loved your work.
Well done, Seppo. The only thing I disagree with, mate, is that the most improved got gold, yet the best got silver.
Yeah, look, it's...
You can't win gold every year, JB. You've got to share the love.
We'll hand out some participation awards next time.
I want to see improvement.
We have to give a special mention to 29 Metals, though, for their innovative use of a waterfall chart for water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was hilarious.
Not just cash flows, so they can, get a participation trophy or something like that.
Was it a water rise chart?
Oh, it's pretty much, yeah, showing how much they had.
But is the water falling?
No,
it's
still going that
rising?
way. Yeah,
so it's a water
something like
rise
1,500 Olympic pools equivalent, but that's okay.
Hey,
no stress.
That fits into the Olympics.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, right. What were the highlights from quarterly season?
A couple of highlights. I wanted just to ask you guys actually what really sort of stood out from the quarter that's just been. A couple of things sort of came to mind for me. Firstly, hitting guidance is bloody hard. Mining is hard work, whether it's weather, not getting your consumables and all those sorts of things, geological models not stacking up, met problems, engineering problems. Almost every mid-cap goldie missed the guidance they set a year ago. We saw multiple fires at coal mines. That means guidance isn't going to be hit at those. A number of the nickel companies aren't even around a sort of year later. Base metals miners in the Cobar, they were sort of flooded in and need to do dewatering and all those sorts of things. So hitting guidance being hard was one thing that sort of stood out to me. Another one is sort of related to inflation, and you hear a lot about these redundancies across the industry. Is inflation going to cool a bit? Because wages has been a big aspect of that. But you look at the language from some of the big miners. Northern Star were talking about it. FMG said they were expecting a 10% increase in iron ore WA mining costs over the next year. IGO's capex came in 50% higher than consensus expectations. There was scope change, but a lot of that was for CGP3 capex inflation. So that's one thing that really stood out to my mind. Another one was base metals, and specifically talking about copper here. I mean, if you look at the start to the end of the quarter, it went from about $4 to $4.40, hitting well over $5 during the quarter. And that kind of shows you the impacts of financial players in these commodity markets, the bigger, more liquid ones in particular. But there was a bit of fundamental involved, and then a lot of short interest covering and all these sorts of things that can, cause a real kick up. And, some mining companies that we talk about were were tuned into that. AIC comes to mind. They did a quick capital raise, got it away when they were trading in the 50s and stuff. So that was interesting to see. And the last thing that stood out to me is that pressuring companies can work. And this sort of speaks to activist investors and the like should really focus in on this and, understand that you as the owner of the business have a voice and you can pressure companies. 29Metals comes to mind. They weren't declaring the interest rates that they were paying on the debts that they have. And they eventually caved to shareholder pressure. Shareholders said that's not good enough. Management owns less than 1% of the business there. Obviously, you've got EMR, who are big shareholders, who are involved there. But the other shareholders spoke up and they were listened to in the end, and the company came out and revealed it. So
just look at the waterfalls, mate. That's evidence there that pressuring works.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were going with.
Actually, there's some other good examples of that during the quarter as well with Karoon, with their capital management framework. A smaller one, I saw a predictive gold developer in Africa actually withdrew a resolution for some like ZPOs or something for the board after some shareholder consultation. So, no, it's great. I agree. Speak up. If you see something that you don't like or want to know more about or needs further clarification, go for it. You might see some
Send
good
it to
change.
us at gcmoneyofmine.com and we'll probably put it in the director special and then they'll feel very shamed.
I'll just be surprised with going forward, and maybe this one, like how inflation, like just talking about workers, like with all this injection of people back into the workforce, bit of a surplus, whether that's actually going to drop wages and how long this inflation thing will be able to be used for. Because imagine if gold was $3,000 an ounce, not 3,600 like it is at the moment, and because there's no there's a minimal amount of knockout performers.
Yeah.
When it's at 3,600.
Imagine if the Aussie dollar goes like to 80 cents.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine if iron ore really peels back.
Yeah. Imagine if things just go down, how much, So that's, it's interesting.
You'd think it'd get a lot cheaper on that front, surely. But I mean, does it offset, how expensive other things are going up though, outside of labour?
Yeah. Oh, and I'll be interested to see if there's take a long time to see it, but if there's any change in quality, because when you've got more people to pick from, you can pick more experienced people. So when it was mayhem, there was every Tom, Dick and Harry up there. Whether that makes a difference, but it'd be very hard to measure. So the cycle of it.
That's it.
Love it. Go Australia. Go mining.
Go mining.
Go finance. Righto. Go Access Mining Technology too, buddy. Go Mineral Mining Services. Go VRIFY. Go Greenlands. Go DSI Underground. Go Silverstone. Go CRE Insurance. Go SMEC. Go K-Drill. And go get Spark.
Go Australia.
And go see us at Diggers next week.
That's it. Hooroo, guys.
Right.
The information contained in this episode of Money of Mine is of general nature only and does not take into account the objectives, financial situation or needs of any particular person. Before making any investment decision, you should consult with your financial advisor and consider how appropriate the advice is to your objectives, financial situation and needs.